Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Farming Simulator 19 here in Erlengrat. So that roller does actually seem to be pretty useful. I know that I've got a whole load of chaff around the other edge of the silage pit, which is a bit of a nuisance, and I can't do anything with it with this one. But what I might try and do is get the milling machine and get a trailer and then sort of join the two together, and we'll see if we can do it using that. We can sort of pick up a little bit and then we can tip the trailer right at the top of the heap and hopefully like dump everything out. It'd be interesting to see how they deal with silage in the new game. I don't see any reason why silage would be any different really to what we've done in this one. The thing at the moment that interests me most, I mean, yes, seasons is interesting, and I'm sort of looking forward to seeing how they've done that in the game. There are obviously issues that people have with seasons. Some people really like it, some people don't. So as I've already said, I'm hoping that seasons bit is optional. So you can choose to turn it on or off as it, you know, so you can play to the style that suits you personally and matches your own personal playstyle. So that I'd like to see. I'd really like to be able to see that as an optional thing. But I'm curious what this new crop is going to be. I've been thinking about this. At the moment, I've got no idea. Like, we've got wheat, barley, oats, canola. We've got the sunflowers, soybeans. So we've sort of covered a lot of the big crops that are grown. I've often said for a very long time now that I would really, really like to see rice being added into the game. I would like to see the ability to grow rice being added into the game. Now, we've got sugarcane, so it's not like they've never done a tropical crop. We've got cotton. That's something that's done in a fairly warm climate. Can't do that in a really cold climate. Yes, I don't think you can. So it's not out of the way to hope for a bit of rice growing. It does mean, however, that there would have to be a redesign on the game itself to allow for the creation of rice paddies, because you do need the plant needs to be flooded at certain points in its growth cycle. At least I believe it does. I know that there are large amounts of rice grown in Australia and in some of the southern US states. I believe that they all sort of use the traditional flooding method for at least part of the plant's life cycle, although I'm not entirely sure about that. Whereas in a lot of Asian countries, they grow rice into seedlings and then transplant seedlings into the rice paddies at a later date using machines specially designed for the job. In the US and Australia, as far as I know, they just direct seed the rice right into the ground and do it like that. So you've got these two different approaches to doing it, and they both seem to be quite successful with it. I would assume that if we were to have rice, it would just be planted direct into the ground. But as far as I know, the ground does still need to be flooded for part of the plant's life cycle. I mean, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just needs a lot of water so that the ground becomes saturated but not necessarily flooded. I don't know on that one. I don't know enough about the growth of rice and the plant's life cycle to be able to state one way or the other with authority as to whether or not it does actually need complete flooding or not. So it's going to be interesting to find out if that's what it is, but I don't actually think that it will be. Right, we've got a little bit more that we can go and do with this one. For some reason it's decided it didn't want to do any more just there, so I'm going to bring you over here like this, and I'm going to start you up so that you drop down there. We're just going to keep an eye on this one a minute. Then we can switch this one over to doing that herbicide job that we've got down the bottom waiting. It's going to get us a little bit more money, which I'm hoping it will then be able to use to buy the milling machine and one or two trailers that we can then start selling silage over at the sale point. doing hay, doing bales of hay, I think would be a faster thing that we could do. Maybe we could do bales of silage even. If we could get our baler, all we need is then to go and get a wrapper and a round bale wrapper, and we can start running through and we can wrap up a load of bales with it as well. A nice lot of money to be made out of doing silage bales, although personally it's the wrapping that I don't like. Like that's the one bit that I really, really don't like is having to do the wrapping. Now, which way are you going to turn? This could go either way. We know what this machine is like. It has decided that it's going to go that way. I'm not going to stand for it, so I'm going to manually take this beastie, and we're going to go over here like this. And start it right there. Start it up and lower it down, and then just send it off down that row. And then it's probably going to get to the end. It's going to say, can't do any more. I can't be bothered. Bit tired. I want a break for the day. So no, we'll just have to watch it until we get down to the other end, and then we can deal with it once again. So rice. Whilst I'd like to see it, I'm not entirely sure that that is going to be a crop that they're going to try and add in yet. I don't know. I genuinely don't know on that one. I mean, it could be, and then they could be adding in another map that does have full-on rice paddies and everything. Yes, I mean, rice is a main crop for... I think there's more rice grown than there is any other crop in the world, so... You know, a game based on agriculture, it does kind of make sense that rice would be turning up eventually, somewhere in there. Yeah. I don't know about that, but what else could it be? If it's not going to be rice, then what are we going to be looking at? Are we going to be looking at something that's going to require a lot more specialist equipment? Something like growing hops or growing wine. I mean, maybe they start doing vines and machines that will harvest it. I mean, could it be things like growing peas and then having pea viners and stuff like that coming along into it? I've really got no idea. I mean, what other cereals have we got? I mean, we've got sunflowers, we've got beans, we've got maize, corn, whatever you want to call it. So we kind of got all of the staples, other than rice. And other than, like, maybe adding in millet or something like that. There's millet and there's rye, and there's a few of those that people do add into mod maps. I can't really see that happening, though. Because this is basically just a repeat of everything that we've already got. I mean, oats was kind of like that, but, I mean, oats was done specifically for the horses, so yeah, you can sort of see where they're coming from with that. But honestly, for the rest of it, I genuinely, I'm really not sure. Genuinely not sure at the moment about what it could be. I don't think that we're going to be seeing millet or rye or something like that. I think that we've got potatoes and we've got sugar beet. So root crops are something that we have got. Possibly they'll add in another root crop. Something like carrots. Or I really hope they don't add onions. They wouldn't do that to us, surely. They're not going to... If they force feed onions on us, I'm going to be bitterly disappointed. So no, they wouldn't. They wouldn't do that to us. I'm really hoping that they wouldn't. Anyway, okay, so we'll just avoid the possibility of a complete and total nightmare, and we will assume that they're not going to do something so horrific as to add onions into this game, because, well, that would be a cruel and unusual punishment. That really would. I don't think why. I can't think any reason why we'd want to sort of force that onto anybody. So we'll just assume that they're not that sadistic, and maybe they do something like carrots. There are other options, something like, hang on, there, right. We've now done all of the raking, that's all finished, so we can go and take this one, we'll take it back down to the farm, we'll fold it up as we go, although you'd really do this by hand, because you take all of those bits off by hand. There's no automatic machine that will do that. Carrots, I'm thinking maybe, but as you know, something like Brussels sprouts or cabbages, cauliflowers, that sort of thing, those have got to be picked by hand, but you have machines that sort of go along with a group of pickers. Maybe they're going to be adding in something like that that requires, you know, you still have the machines that go across the field, but then they have the animation for a group of pickers going along as well, who are actually picking the crops. This is a possibility. There is the possibility that that could be something that they're doing. I mean, that could be quite interesting, because that would, you know, if you've got then built into the base game the animations for doing a job that requires people to physically go along and pick the crops, if you're doing that, then it sort of opens up a whole load of interesting possibilities for what the modders could add into the game as well. For new crops and things like that. So there's definitely some interesting ideas there that could happen. Again, no, I don't think we'll see something that gives us teams of pickers. I can't really see that happening. Right, I'm just going to leave that one there a minute, and we're going to go skipping back to this one. It's just been sat here, everything going flat, slowly. And we're going to race along over here. So which way have we got? We're up to there. It would probably help if I stayed going in a straight line and actually picked up the crop that we've got on the ground. So let's try and do that again, shall we? And we'll get a load done with this one, and then once we've done a full load with this one and we've emptied it out into the silage clamp, we will then go back to our Kramer. We will take the spraying job, and we will take that herbicide over to the it's field 20 that we want to go to. We'll take it over to field 20 and we will get started in there. So there is our full load of silage. Now what I haven't done is I haven't built a track coming down out of the field up here, and I'm actually thinking that I might do that, because at the moment the only track that we've really got is down this side. Now we can get up into the field on the other side obviously, but using the track is sort of the better option. It's a bit steep getting down here though, isn't it? Eventually we'll want to do something a little bit different to that, I think. We'll just drag that one on in like this. So I'm curious how high we can actually take the silage in this one, and how much silage we can actually put into this silage clamp. It's going to be interesting to find that one out at some point. We won't be finding that one out just yet. So now what I want to do is I'm just going to bring this one up over here, and I'm going to line it up ready to start on there, but I'm not actually going to get started just yet. I'm going to switch over to the Kramer a second, and we're going to move that one. So you wait there. I'm actually going to switch you off so you don't go flat, and we'll switch to you. And I want to go in here. I got that spraying job right there. So let me just go new contracts. There's nothing new at the moment. So those harvest jobs, we're not getting them coming back yet. I'm just going to accept contract on here. So field 20, which is that one down there. So we want to come out. We want to go into the town, and we'll go up past the dealership over here and then down that side. Actually, we can just go straight through town. We're just going to run straight down that way and over, and we've got almost no fuel left. It is ridiculous how fast this one uses up fuel. I mean, yes, we were working continuously in the field before we did it, so I'm really hoping that I can actually make it to the garage. I'm also really pleased that I've remembered to check for fuel. The train is now available, so I've also got to watch for the train as we come down through here, because if you try to rely on the lights, it doesn't give enough warning. That's something I'd like to see with the new game, is the train giving more warning when it comes to the when you're trying to like drive through. The train giving you just a little tiny bit more warning when it comes, because once the train's gone through, the lights and the barrier stay down for quite a long time after the train has gone past. But it doesn't when the train is approaching. The lights will start going and the barrier will come down immediately, and then the train is right there. So if you've got a long vehicle that you're trying to take through slowly, the lights can start coming on halfway through the whole thing, like you're halfway through, and you can even get across the track before the train is upon you and has knocked you flying. And that, to me, is very poor. I don't really like that. So at least we managed to fill up with fuel. We're not going to run out. We could do with repairing our tractor. I don't currently have anything that I can go and repair it with myself. I don't have a workshop. I don't even have a little toolbox off to the side. So we may have to invest in something like that just to help us out a bit. We'll deal with that at some point. I don't quite know when we're going to deal with that, but we will deal with it at some point. I'm really glad I decided to look down there at the fuel. I don't really pay much attention to fuel. It's not really something that I've done in the past. So it is a habit that I kind of need to get into, I think. Because, as we have shown, this tractor running out of fuel is more than a little bit of an inconvenience. It is an extreme inconvenience because, yeah, once we run out, that's it. Okay, so herbicide right there. I'm going to use the hired help to run down this side of the field, and then I'm going to turn the corner. I'm going to set the hired help moving up and down the field in the other direction, and we're going to do it like that. So we will have, then they'll work their way back up across the field, and then everything will be done. So let's just go and have a look in the main map. This is the only field we've got that has any weeds in it at all. No other fields have got weeds. The ones with lime requirements, lime is not actually... Oh, there is a little line of weed there that we didn't actually do when we had a job over there. So that was our bad, I think. Lime isn't a contract job. I would like to see the contracts looked over again. The guy that did the contract system is the guy that actually originally developed Seasons. He developed Seasons, and then he went to go and work for Giants after they offered him a job because they were that impressed with everything that he'd done. And he took him up on it, and he went and started working for them. He started there too late to include Seasons in FS19, which is why it wasn't included. But they did originally want to include it in FS19, but they decided that they wouldn't do it because it wouldn't be polished enough, it wouldn't be ready to go into the game. It absolutely wouldn't be ready. So that's why we didn't get Seasons in FS19. It was the mod version again. But now we're going to have Seasons in the base game, and the original author of Seasons does actually work for Giants, so he will have helped them code it right into the game from the start, and he is apparently a very good coder and very good at his work. So we've got someone on the inside who knows his stuff. This is a good thing. The other thing that he did, the notable thing that he did, is he is the one that did the new mission system. And he tweaked it, and when there were issues about it, I've seen comments from him on the forums as well. He's gone on there, and issues about missions. He's made those changes to the code in the game, sorted it all out, patched it in. So, no, there's feedback is being listened to, and he's dealing with it. There were issues like you get machines for the missions that... what was the issue? The machines you get with the missions are already worn out. And so when you... originally, when you started doing it, you wouldn't be able to complete a mission properly because you wouldn't have everything because the machinery was worn out. So we quickly changed the coding on that one so that the wear percentage on the machines wouldn't actually affect would have zero effect on yields for doing the missions and that. It was to do with the yield results, I think. So combine, if you have a combine that's worn out, you get less crop. You lose some of the crop over the back of the combine. And he fixed that, so that would no longer happen. And then everything was tickety-boo, and everybody was happy. So he's going to be there, and we had this whole change. The mission system was changed quite a bit. So you had all these different options for it. We had to go to the dealership and pick everything up instead of getting it from, it was just delivered on the side of the field. And it was a whole load of other little bits like that. So it was quite a significant change with the mission system, I thought, from one game to the next. What I'm really hoping to see with the mission system in the new version of the game is I'm using a mod that allows me to take multiple missions at once, and then I can work through them how I wish, and then I can reset the missions, I can ask for new missions, and stuff like that. I would like to see that kind of functionality added into the base game so that you can take more than one mission at a time. I think that would really improve the quality of gameplay, because let's be honest, not everybody just goes straight on and does regular farming. Like us, some people like to play at being contractors, and it's a bit odd only being able to do one job at a time. So I would like to be able to see multiple missions in as a base game choice rather than something that you've got to mod in afterwards. So that's one mission thing. Another mission thing that I would very much like to see brought in and changed. Right, we'll leave that one there a second, and we'll go over here. So that Kramer has not gotten very far, has it? But I'm going to leave it there. We'll take this one, and I'm going to go and meet it. And yes, I will be driving on the field, so look the other way if you don't want to see that bit. One thing that I was disappointed with in the base game in FS19, you had manure spreading jobs, you had slurry spreading jobs. If you had a contract on a field that hadn't yet been ploughed, like it had just been harvested, you quite often got a job to go and spread manure on the field, and then you would plough the field afterwards. And then after you'd done you'd planted crop, you'd very often be asked to spread slurry on the field instead of being asked to spread just fertilizer. Now the only ones we get are fertilizer, and yes, you can go and like use your own ones. I would getting stuck. Right. I would very much like to see the ability to have proper contracts come back for. Just start that one up and go like that. I would very much like to see contracts come back for slurry and manure. I would really like to see those added back. I don't think there are any other contracts that kind of got taken away that we use a lot of, but those two in particular, I do miss them. Like, it was really nice to be able to go and do those jobs. I quite liked them because you could always choose to use the manure and slurry that you had on your own land as well, which I thought was good. And it gave you the opportunity to do contract work, but do it sort of in a more organic approach if that's what you wanted to do. And I quite like that option. So I would like to see the return of those two jobs coming up. I don't quite understand why they would have been removed. I guess it's because if you borrow the machinery, you're expected to supply the stuff that you're going to put into it. So if you borrow the machinery for seed drills, the seed drill isn't full. You've got to put your own seed into it. Fertilizer, herbicide, you've got to put all of your own stuff into it. If you're doing a contract job and you hire the machinery to do slurry spreading, you'd kind of expect the farmer to supply the slurry, but I guess the way that the mission system worked is that they wouldn't be able to supply the slurry in the tanker, and you'd have to supply your own. And if you're trying to do a playthrough, you know, a lot of people wouldn't necessarily have slurry available, and that's why it wasn't added. So I'd like to see something put in that would allow a little bit more flexibility on that. Maybe a buy point where you can just go and buy slurry for your tanker, or you can go and buy manure and then, you know, you could get around it like that. I don't really know. But that's something that I would like to see tweaked, looked at, adjusted. I think that could be quite cool. But still, the big mystery is what this new crop is going to be. I don't recall seeing anywhere that there are new animals planned, which I will admit to being a bit disappointed with. I wanted to see some new animals. I don't know what animals, actually. Like, we got pigs, we got cows, and we got sheep. Those are the three big ones for farming. Horses just seemed a little bit of a gimmick, to be honest. I've got no interest. No, I looked at them briefly in one playthrough, but I've got zero interest in horses. I'm not interested in riding at all. I've absolutely no interest in horses in real life whatsoever, and I've no desire to use the horses in the game either. So, for me, horses, you know, I took a quick look at them so that, you know, essentially just for the people that wanted me to look at the horses, but personally, they do nothing for me. I've got no interest in doing anything with the horses, so I don't want to have anything more to do with them. I would like to see some other poultry in the game. Now, that is one thing that I'm surprised they haven't added in yet. I would like turkeys. I know there's a lot of people that would like to see turkeys. I've seen that one mentioned for as far as poultry goes, but me personally, I used to keep geese, and I would like to see geese added into the game. That is one that I personally would like, is to have some geese. I used to keep geese, keep them for years, and we had adult geese, and we would get the eggs from them. They'd be incubated, and then the young geese would be reared for Christmas. I would like to see that. I would really like to see geese being added into the game. Ducks is another one. It's another popular poultry. A lot of people do farm ducks, so it would be quite cool to see ducks being added in, with some differences in how they've got to be raised, how they've got to be looked after. Geese can be fed grass. I mean, ours would be on grass all the time. And they'd be given a supplementary quantity of barley, just rolled barley, to help fatten them up towards Christmas. But most of their diet is grass. So you could keep geese, and you go along with a forage wagon, and you could dump a bit of grass in for them, although the geese do prefer to go out and graze themselves. They do eat a lot of grass. And unlike cows, sheep, they don't chew cud or anything like that. They just consume vast quantities of grass, and then they poop it out the other end, because they're a flight animal, and so they can't go along and consume a large quantity of grass and then keep it all on board and then expect to fly, because they'd be adding in like another 5 or 6 kilos of weight, and that's not going to do them any good at all. They wouldn't be able to get off the ground. I'll tell you what, I'll fill this one up, and then we'll go and refill the herbicide sprayer. So, yeah, the geese, they extract some of the goodness out, and then they poop it out, and so on. You do have to treat the ground a little bit. If you keep geese in a field, it can make the grass go a little bit sour. I'm not quite sure why, but there is to do with the way the nutrients work and so on. How long have I been driving along? Oh, it's only just filled up. So I'm wondering how long I've been driving along with a full forage wagon, yapping away. So geese can be, like, as far as maintenance of like the field and grassland management is concerned, you do have to sort of account for the fact that the geese have then soured the ground. So you've then got to go and add in additional types of fertilizer in order to sort of get rid of the issues that the geese have raised. And I'm stuck. I should probably close that one down just for a minute, just so that I can actually get through the silage. There we go. Right, now I can empty that bit out. I'm going to dump the rest right there behind me, like that, and then I'm going to hope that I can get out of here. And I'm going to need to stop and roll clamp, I think. Before I do that, I will go and get the other machine up and running. So let me just unhitch that one there, and then we'll go over to you. You haven't got very much left. Unfortunately, folks, that is all we have got time for today. A massive thank you to everybody who has earned their way into the Great Book of Names. To find out some more details about all the names coming past, please head into the description and click on the link to the Discord. It's a link to another video. The link is on the other video. Please also consider checking out the links there for Nitrado, who provide gaming servers for games like Farming Simulator, Minecraft, Ark, and several others. And there's also Fanatical, who will help support your gaming habit by providing you with cheap games and also giving me a small commission on anything that you buy using my link. If you've enjoyed this particular video, then please head down below and give us a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.